Blah, 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 blah.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonzo as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is October 7th. 2020. This is episode 252. And today, the least known Huxley. And that was for you, Guns. And what's the rest of it? I'm your best buddy, Basil.
And this is Gons. Welcome to the podcast where we love Jesus, we love you, we love us, and we love our enemies too, even though it's hard to do.
Oh, snappy. I'm loving it today, Guns.
Much shorter.
Loving it. All right. Well, we are back. What is it? It's Wednesday. It's What the Wednesday. And we're going to learn some stuff about the least known Huxley later on in the show. Any updates regarding you? Still on baby alert there, Gons? Still
on baby alert. I woke up this morning with anxiety. I've never really had it before. It was weird.
Yeah.
It was... First off, I had a dream about like the baby, happening. So, wife saying it's, we got to go to the hospital, that whole deal.
The baby is happening.
The baby's happening. Yeah. So I had that dream. And then it was I was laying in bed and you know how you kind of go in and out of sleep and you're in that state. Well, I was in this like weird state where I was super high anxiety because I'm a conspiracy theorist. It was the weirdest thing. It was like, gotta try not to be so conspiratorial because they're after me.
Okay, it was part of your dream or half dream or something.
Yeah, I don't remember what I was dreaming about, but I woke up with that. It was like a double whammy anxiety.
Control.
Yeah, it was weird.
Mind control is kicking in, Gonzo.
And then I felt super old because I got up and I fell over because my ankle. I don't know what it is about getting older, but like you just wake up and just things hurt.
The old man bones.
My ankle was just like, it's not right. I don't know. I didn't twist it or anything, but yeah, there you go.
No more hoops for you, Gons.
I know. I'm so sad about that. I haven't played in a while because, nobody's out. They actually, one of the local parks, they took down the rim during the whole Rona thing. They're like, no basketball for you, citizen.
Wow.
So
gotta hit up some deep underground black market basketball games.
Black market b-ball. Yeah.
Black
Okay.
market b-ball. It's a good episode title.
Yeah.
Well, I had sort of a similar, I've been having some hard time sleeping lately. Last night, slept in fact, and was feeling great, woke up, and then got an email that just sent me into a spiral of furious activity. So it's been a busy day, and that's why we're a little bit late on the show today, but it's okay. I think I saved the day. I don't know. I won't really know until after the show's over, but a lot of anxiety producing life events recently.
I don't know what's going on spiritually, but they're probably after us.
Yeah, it seems that way. So keep us in prayer, everybody.
Yeah.
We certainly need it. But I suppose we should get into the show. What do you say?
Blah, 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 blah.
Cool. It's going to be one of those days.
Do you want fries with that?
That's right, everybody. It's a Flippy update. For those who don't know, if it's your first time listening or watching the show, Flippy is our dear, colloquially named friend. See, when I go off script, I can't remember what to do. Flippy is the colloquial name we have for the burger flipping robot, the disembodied arm. We use it as a proxy conversation to talk about how robotics are coming into our lives. They're taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. Today we have an actual Flippy update. We like to check in with the original Flippy now and again. So most of you know Flippy from Miso Robotics started this all off by making the burger flipping robot, and we got some updates here. This is coming from digitaltrends.com. Flippy, the fast food prepping robot, goes on sale for $30,000.
Why not 33? Just tack on that extra 3K tax and call it 33.
You just wait. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, add in tax. I'm sure it gets pretty close to 33K there.
Yeah.
The article reads, Robot Fry Chef Flippy, the fast food prepping bot created by Miso Robotics, is now available for purchase by eateries, opening up access to a wider audience than ever. Described as a roar, that's a robot on a rail, natch. The current Flippy robot is capable of whizzing from one kitchen workstation to another with a growing set of impressive culinary skills. Using a depth-sensing camera, it can identify different foods and temperatures and then carry out the necessary prep work along with limited grill maintenance tasks. At present, it can cook a reported 19 different food items, including, but not limited to, waffle fries, burgers, potato wedges, French fries, popcorn shrimp, chicken wings, and more. It's a deep fry frenzy, Gonzo. Quote, our global commercial availability allows operators of chains across the globe to tackle the current challenges of labor and social distancing in a cramped kitchen, low margins due to a shifting trend towards delivery and takeout, as well as health and safety concerns to stimulate growth in an industry facing record permanent closures. Buck Jordan, which sounds like a fake name, but okay, Buck Jordan, president and chairman of Miso Robotics, told Digital Trends, quote, Flippy can be customized to meet the needs of operators, but the standard install can be done quickly overnight to make access to automation pretty instantaneous. The robot itself costs $30,000 up front, which can, if required, be financed through time payments. I'm not sure what time payments are, but it sounds... payments. I know. But the term time payments sounds like we will take 4 months off your life every month. But on top of that, there's an added, and this is where they get you, Gons. Always read the fine print. Mm-hmm. On top of that, there's an added $1,500 monthly fee to gain access to the necessary AI software.
Oh my gosh.
While that might seem steep at a time when eateries are struggling, the increased automation could help increase efficiency in the kitchen, meaning more money coming in. Jordan said that the goal is eventually to be able to pull in enough customers that there will be no upfront for the robot and everything will be packed into monthly cost. You know, that's annoying because it seems like everything is going to monthly cost. Even like Microsoft Word and Adobe products, you don't buy any of it up front. You're locked into a monthly payment. Yeah. Which is kind of nice because it used to be like $900 or something for some of these big software suites, but you know, after a couple years, you are paying out the nose. Anyways, however, until then, a $30,000 buy-in price still represents a major saving on what ARM robots cost just a few years ago. Quote, we believe the news and wide availability of Flippy Roar will help to increase automation adoption in the market, which is really the only path forward in a post-pandemic climate. Jordan said, quote, we have seen tremendous excitement from investors who see the opportunity for an AI platform, automation, and robotics to lead a new era of growth for the quick service restaurants. So there you go, Gons. And, you know, this was kind of a big update because, you know, we talk a lot about different robots and Flippy and, you know, the different automatons that are making their way into our daily lives. Most of them are not sort of commercially available for everyone to buy immediately. You know, a lot of them are still in beta testing or, you know, only available to certain high-level clients that can really test out use cases. But we have moved into the era. This marks a new era where Flippy is available to anyone who can, you know, make the measly investment of $30,000. So there you go. Big news. Big news.
I'm pretty sure they listened to your dinosaur roar and tried to fit the robot on a rail thing and just
that
made
sounds
it
right.
Yeah, they got tips from you and no check for you.
That sounds legit. Guns, I do gotta say, I'm looking at the chat today before we get into the main stories, or the updates, sorry. We are an especially international show today. I saw somebody said they're from Romania. We got a Swedish person in there, Holland. We're especially international today, so that's good news.
Yeah, well, we're a world community, not the world order, but
look at all these global citizens.
Yeah, I was actually on that note was responding to one of our producers who emailed us about why she was asking why churches don't teach on Revelation, on the book of Revelation. And I was just mentioning how it's because a lot of it is divisive and, people, a lot of churches are seeker friendly, quote unquote, so they don't want to get into Revelation where there's a lot of different opinions. But I reminded her that, of course, Matthew 18:20 talks about how when there are 2 or 3 gathered in his name, there am I in the midst of them. So even this technically, even though it's online, if we're doing it, this is church more or less. I mean, it's a little, we're not sitting here.
Yeah, there's plenty of people who have shared that sentiment with us that this show, not just the show, but the whole community. Of course, we've got different communities, and the chat during the show is a great replacement in this time of church being closed down. And, especially for those who are on the fringes, who don't necessarily feel welcome sharing certain beliefs in church, this is the place for you.
Yep.
And some more international updates. We got Australia, we got Brazil. Right. We are really all across the globe, or the pancake, whichever side of the flat Earth discussion you're on. You are welcome.
I think fishbowl makes sense.
Yeah,
you're outside of it. Still looks like a globe, but
we need some inner Earth, inner hollow Earth citizens to pipe up here.
Well, if it's a fish globe, then or a fish bowl, you're kind of doing all of it at once, because it's kind of flat on the inside, but then it's still round from the outside, and it's still hollow.
Whoa,
yeah,
so deep.
I know. Real quick, I don't know if this matters at all, but Eddie Van Halen passed away yesterday. Were you ever? I saw that. Were you ever a Van Halen fan?
Not really. I mean, I'm a fan as much as, I recognize their impact on pop culture in general and rock and roll. So, it's too bad to hear. Was it the Rona?
No, it was, I think, cancer. I think he it was like throat cancer. So I don't think he stopped smoking and drinking from the 80s.
Yeah, that'll happen.
But it's, I just want to mention how my mother-in-law used to hang out with Sammy Hagar. So, yeah.
Uh-oh.
I know. I don't know if that's a good thing or bad. Good thing or bad thing. I was like, oh, okay. All right. We'll see.
There's a lot of implications tied up in that, but we don't need to get into that now.
I know. Crazy. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's go through some updates here.
We interrupt this broadcast to give you a brief update. By the end of this timely interruption, you will be thoroughly updated.
33 is the number of completion of the Great War.
33 is also the number that the elite use to signal to each other. It is the, what do you call it? The elite, what is it?
Elite, the Illuminati dog whistle.
Dog whistle, thank you.
Is my favorite description.
Okay, so this is richlandsource.com. 33 Forever continues fundraising and education efforts. So I was like, what is 33 Forever? And it's actually, it's kind of sad. I was sort of depressed when I found out about this.
Is that the charity thing?
It's a charity. It's a different charity from the one we looked at before.
Oh, weird. Okay.
This is 33 Forever, help and resources for those suffering from depression and anxiety. And it's named after this gal who passed away, Danielle. She passed away at age 33. So they named it 33 Forever, which, again, kind of sad, but also, I don't know.
Very fits right into the narrative there.
Yeah, I guess. But yeah, so there's, I was curious. I went down the rabbit hole and found that I might need to call them because I'm depressed now. Depressed from finding out that it's just a thing trying to help people.
That it exists.
Yeah. Here's another one. This is Ottawa Courier. Police, Ottawa man had 33 pounds of meth.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Illuminati meth.
Yeah, I was supposed to prepare a jingle, or not a jingle. We have a little ISO, crystal meth for days, but I don't have it on me. Just wanted an excuse to play that, but there you go. 33 pounds of meth.
These 33 updates are a real emotional roller coaster today.
Oh my gosh. It's, it's everywhere. But,
Okay.
I like the picture of this police crew, standing in front of the 33 pounds of meth they found, and they're all posing like, yeah, check it out. Check out the 33 pounds of meth that we took down. Okay. One more quick one. I thought this was interesting. This is ocregister.com, my neck of the woods.
Ooh.
Disneyland layoffs include 2,800 restaurant workers, food cart vendors, and Club 33 staff.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So if you didn't know, at Disneyland here in Anaheim, Orange County, there's a secret, well, it's not that secret anymore, but there's a place called Club 33. It's like a restaurant for insiders and such.
VIP celebrities.
Yeah.
It costs like $1 million or something crazy to join.
Yeah. And it's a very exclusive group. And I've actually, I think I took pictures of the door when I went a few years ago. But yeah, so even the Club 33 staff taken out in the layoffs. That's really too bad. They must be the lowest ranks, Well,
I don't know. That seems bigger than just like your normal churro worker getting laid off. Club 33, there's a lot of theories surrounding it. I cannot confirm any of the details now, but certainly some people have made connections with, the Jeffrey Epstein types and stuff like that. Who is the famous Johnny Depp famously loved Club 33, which automatically should put it into question. But
there's also that Walt Disney statue where he's standing next to Mickey, and from certain angles, it's kind of a nefarious outline that creates and there's a lot of that in Disney movies and stuff too. A lot of the hidden messages and stuff that are less than wholesome. So there you go. Those are a couple of 33 updates. Here's a few Trump things here.
We will launch a new age.
Russia.
Russia, Russia, Russia. Russia, Russia, Russia.
That was a great jingle combo.
Oh, yeah, good stuff. Okay, this is yahoo.com. Trump News Live. CIA analyst says Putin likely bugging president's doctors as he goes on roid rage Twitter rampage.
What? How do you get Putin likely bugging the doctors? I'm assuming bugging as in like surveillance.
Yes, but also CIA analyst. Okay, so here's what it says. A really short, couple paragraphs here. Former intelligence agents. So former intelligence agents. Yeah, right. Former, my butt.
Yeah, there is no such thing.
Yeah, warn that foreign powers like Russia and China may know more than the U.S. about Donald Trump's health status through clandestine through clandestine espionage like bugging the president's doctors. Trump was accused of suffering roid rage in reference to the experimental COVID steroid treatment after tweeting dozens of posts early on Wednesday morning. The stream of consciousness focused on his enemies, the stimulus package, and the NBC town hall that called Joe Biden voters as undecided. The president has been accused of being the super spreader responsible for the current outbreak of coronavirus in the White House.
See, that's where they're wrong. If it's Trump, he's the super duper spreader.
Yeah, the super duper. Where's my super duper jingle? It's always missing from where I want it. Here it is.
I call it the super duper miss incredible.
It's incredible.
Incredible. Yeah, but people talk about the deep state and stuff, and it's become, I don't know, it's become kind of like a mainstream phrase now. But yeah, of course, you have people that are in the CIA, and if there is some kind of quote unquote draining of the swamp, then certain people on the inside are gonna, push out misinformation. This just seems like misinformation to me, to push more of that Russia narrative that they just love to push.
Yeah, and notice how nothing's confirmed. It's a quote-unquote ex-intelligence officer say it may be possible. Of course it is. If those doctors have a cell phone, just any sort of...
anybody.
A nominally experienced hacker can bug those doctors.
Yeah, there's a lot more that's bugged and tracked than Trump's doctors, I'm sure.
And if they have TikTok, then China has all their info too.
Yep. Yes, they do. Okay, here's a quick mask update.
If you're working alone, wear a mask. The mask's not for you. It's to protect the people you care about.
That's right. This is USA Today. COVID-19 and cars. This was sent in by a producer, so thank you to the producer who sent that in. The article in COVID-19 and cars, not a good medical mix, as it can harm drivers and passengers.
Mm-hmm.
This is, I was reading through this. I was appalled at what it says here. President Donald Trump's Sunday ride outside Walter Reed National Military Medical Center can be a teachable moment for drivers and passengers, experts say. Experts or government shills, I don't know. If you know or think you are sick, they say, you shouldn't get into a vehicle unless it's unavoidable. Any person known to have suspected of having COVID-19 should, quote, isolate themselves at home, except if he or she needs to get medical care, says Sanja Rasmussen, a professor of pediatrics and epidemiology at the University of Florida College of Medicine and College of Public Health and Health Professions.
Yeah.
If they have to travel in the vehicle to get care, the driver and passenger should wear masks, and the person with COVID-19 should sit in the back seat or further back if in a large vehicle, such as a van, she says, quote,
more stigmatizing. Get in the back, infected individual.
I know, isn't that crazy? This is like the complete opposite of all the civil rights stuff.
And I don't know how many details you wanted to get into, but I thought it was interesting that they basically show their hand right up front, which is, oh, the president rode in a car, so now riding in cars is bad. Don't do it. The orange man rode in a car, and that means you should not.
The car windows should be opened and the car vents should be used to bring in outside air. But I thought it spreads through the air.
Yes.
What do you want us to do? USA Today. Anyway, this is just ridiculous.
It was outrageous, and of course, like I said at the beginning, the president rode in a car, so now riding in cars is evil.
Yeah.
I do want to give a quick shout out before we finish up the updates here. There was a YouTube person, Byron, that had a very inspiring message. I'm addicted to this show. Now I'm thinking of becoming a producer.
All right.
Thank you very much, Byron. And I think a lot of people are in the same boat, so maybe you guys can encourage each other.
It's the thought that counts.
It is. Yeah, the thought is worth something.
It's worth something.
Yeah.
All right, quick Race Wars update.
The race wars.
Race wars. Race war.
I've warned you and warned you and warned you.
This was trending right now all over the place. Fox9.com. Derek Chauvin released from jail on $1 million bond.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, Chauvin, the guy who had his knee on George Floyd. Mm-hmm. And, it's basically the headline there. Chauvin has been released.
What was the most recent update? Did he actually get convicted, or is the case ongoing?
I thought it was like second degree or something like that, but maybe not. Hold on.
Yeah. I don't know.
Oh, here we go. Chauvin was arrested and charged with third-degree murder and manslaughter just 4 days after the Memorial Day death of George Floyd. Chauvin, the officer seen kneeling on the neck in a video, is charged with second-degree murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter.
Mm-hmm.
Defense teams of all four former officers have filed motions to move the trial out of Hennepin County.
Okay. So he's not technically convicted yet.
Yeah, not yet. But
okay.
Yeah, whatever,
I don't know. We'll see. It's very meaningful to a lot of people.
I know.
And so, but yeah, moving. They certainly. I mean, 1 million bail. That's a pretty large bail. I mean, that's not nothing.
Yeah. I mean, you got to get all those white supremacists to pitch in.
That's true.
All 200 KKK members out there.
Yeah, what was the last number? I think they said the last known number of KKK members was 3,000 or something.
Yeah, it was a couple thousand. Yeah,
it's a pretty small group.
I know. They're taking over the country, Basil. Haven't you been watching the news?
Gosh,
they love Trump, and they're taking over
Trump's
our democracy.
Yeah. Okay. Let's keep moving.
I know I get a little too cynical there. Okay, one more quick update. This is about CRISPR.
CRISPR. Cas9.
All right, this is Vox.com. Of course, we've been following CRISPR, the DNA editing. I was about to say software, but it's more of like a kit.
Yeah.
Okay, so headline: CRISPR has ignited a gene editing revolution. These Nobel-winning women scientists were the spark. And I'm going to read a little bit of this here. Mushrooms that don't brown. A treatment for sickle cell anemia, driving malaria, carrying mosquitoes to extinction, resurrecting the woolly mammoth, editing genes in human embryos to make them less susceptible to HIV. These are just a handful of the possibilities of the versatile gene editing tool known as CRISPR that scientists have explored in the few years since its discovery. On Wednesday, the 2020 Nobel Prize in Chemistry was awarded to the pair of scientists who discovered the CRISPR gene editing mechanism, also known as CRISPR-Cas9. It acts as a pair of genetic scissors to precisely make cuts and insertions in genomes, creating the possibilities of treating genetic maladies, as well as introducing new heritable traits into living organisms. Emmanuel Charpentier, director of the Max Planck Unit for the Science of Pathogens in Berlin, Germany, and Jennifer Doudna, professor at the University of California, Berkeley, will split the $1.1 million prize evenly, marking the first time two women scientists have been awarded the chemistry Nobel without a male collaborator. Woo! So go girls.
Girl power.
Jennifer Doudna, just for a reference too, she says here she's at Berkeley. And she was in a whole bunch of lawsuits fighting for the some of the patents of CRISPR. And, she's claiming that she came out with some of the original technology, and she won, I think, a bunch of them. So
getting on that Daddy Fauci business model.
Yeah. So I know in the last few years, she's been fighting a whole bunch of that in court. Okay, this is the part where I thought it was very interesting. Quote, "This year's prize is about rewriting the code of life." Goran K. Hansen, Secretary General of the Royal Swedish Academy of Science, said on Wednesday, and goes on to talk more about CRISPR there. There is a section at the end, "The science of gene editing is advancing much faster than the ethics." And it brings up the whole situation that happened in China with He Jiankui. And they're basically saying, we have to make sure the science checks out before we move forward with this. And, of course, no matter what, they're going to move forward with it. And of course, as we've speculated, there's probably things in laboratories unknown to the public that have done quite the disastrous things well before even CRISPR was around. But now that it is, I'm sure there's abominable things in places that you don't know about.
Abominable snowmen.
Yeah, it's possible. People always complain that we don't talk Bigfoot enough. So yeah.
Yes, we don't talk Bigfoot as much as we probably should. That's true.
Yeah.
Might need to do a little Bigfoot update.
Yeah, I did mention as a tweet, I sent out the quote, "This year's prize is about rewriting the code of life." And I quoted Lucifer, "I will be like the Most High," Isaiah 14:14. So this is very much in line with trying to play God. And we've been looking at that from a biblical perspective for a while. And that's why, people tune into shows like ours, because we'll talk about these issues in a biblical context. both ancient and eschatological. And we're not afraid to do that because, I don't know. It's weird because I see a lot of church folk, this kind of stuff keeps getting published and, the science keeps moving, the quote unquote science keeps moving forward. And a lot of the church they're either like, oh, cool, we're going to be like X-Men. Or they're like, they're never going to achieve it. It's just really weird how it's kind of split.
Just a sort of a refusal to interact on a deeper level either way.
Yeah. I mean,
it's either just whatever society says, or it's all fake, never going to happen.
Right. Yeah.
Speaking of fake, Gons,
we are in deep fake.
We are in deep fake.
That's right. Okay, big news coming from tomshardware.com. Which is sort of a nerd website. It's got news. It's got all sorts of stuff. Lots of reviews for computer hardware, but also some other stuff. And let's take a look at it. The article is titled "Deepfake Yourself with NVIDIA Maxine's Video Chat Tool." Multiple tools. Oh, wow. Lots of fun stuff. You got deepfake. You got Maxine in there. Well,
yeah, like Maxine Waters.
Maxine Waters. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Moving on. The article reads, "It's October now, which means it's mask season." Or it would be if this whole year weren't mask season. At any rate, it seems that NVIDIA's getting in on the holiday cheer with its newly announced NVIDIA Maxine video streaming platform, which, among other features, essentially lets you video chat while wearing a deep fake style mask of yourself. Maybe the result wasn't intended to be spooky, but looking at NVIDIA's video demonstrations, Maxine is perfectly fitting for October. Maxine actually comes with a bunch of features, but the one that first caught my eye was its new AI-assisted video compression tool. Have you ever wanted to deepfake your own face? No. Or turn your own face into a virtual chat avatar to then animate with something like the face rig tool that's so common among virtual YouTubers like Kizuna AI? No, because that's essentially what this tool does, all with the end goal of reducing bandwidth and maybe improving video streaming quality. Essentially, rather than constantly sending video data to whoever you're chatting with, this new video compression tool sends them a static picture of your face, then reads the movement of your lips, eyes, cheeks, and other key facial features to animate that picture on the other end using AI. NVIDIA gives an example of the video stream using nearly 100 kilobytes per frame versus an AI compressed stream using just 0.12 kilobytes per frame. Wow, that's a huge difference, meaning about 1,000 times difference in size. The result is a mostly realistic depiction of what you actually look like talking, but with much less data being sent over the network, emphasis on mostly. Because the compression tool isn't actually sending video, but is instead animating a static picture, it has to make some guesses, which results in things like blurry teeth, fuzzy edges, and an animatronic style feel on some motions. It's up to you whether a lower bandwidth cost is worth some uncanny valley imagery, but it does kind of feel like a little like an alien is wearing a skin suit in NVIDIA's example video. Perfect. Aliens. Assuming those kinks get worked out, it still feels odd that we could eventually live in a future where video chats essentially use computer-generated facsimiles of our own faces, which we would operate using actual video of those same faces. And like deepfakes, this does raise questions as to potential impersonation. Could I send someone a picture of Tim Cook and just map my facial movements onto his face? But given that this is currently being positioned as a developer-focused tool rather than a consumer-facing one, companies might consider the trade-off in realism worth it for increased performance. Or, of course, Maxine doesn't stop just at recreating your face. It's also promising AI-powered enhancements like face reanimation. The concept here here is pretty simple. Say you're focusing your eyes on a certain corner of your monitor screen or tilting your head off to the side so you can look at a second monitor. Much like the AI video compression outlined above, face reanimation will use a still reference image and your facial movement data to adjust how you look on camera so that you appear to be looking directly at the screen with your eyes focused on its center. Wow, that is so crazy and also useless. Just to summarize that part for everybody, you know, when you're video chatting, you're looking off to the side, you're looking at yourself in the little box there, you're looking down, maybe you're looking at emails. This would deep fake your face to look like you're actually paying attention. I know a lot of learning at home students who have to go to school on Zoom would love to take advantage of that option, I think.
Yeah.
NVIDIA's example video shows that this still has a ways to go, as the reanimated face is distinctly lower quality than the input data and stutters a bit as it moves to the center. It also comes with the same uncanny valley quality as the AI video compression tool, but assuming this all gets worked out, I could see something like this being helpful for workers who need to multitask during meetings, or even students dealing with overly aggressive virtual learning software, punishing them for not looking directly at the screen. Oh, yeah, there you go. On a less unsettling end of the spectrum, Maxine also promises AI-assisted video upscaling, which could help those who don't have the best webcams, as well as similar features to RTX Voice's noise reduction and NVIDIA Broadcast's auto frame. NVIDIA's demo video also briefly shows off tools for live language translation and for mapping facial movements to cartoon avatars, which might help offset the uncanny valley nature of Maxine's AI compression and face reanimation tools. We currently don't know much about these features, but they seem like they be genuinely helpful regardless of whether someone is a developer or not. For now, NVIDIA's Maxine isn't coming straight to consumers. Instead, NVIDIA's offering free cloud access to it to third-party firms who can then use it to improve their own software. That's probably good, because while running these tools locally off your own RTX cards could improve performance, keeping them to the cloud will make them more accessible to the average person and will go further toward normalizing them. Still, communications firm Avaya is the only partner to have currently announced that it's using Maxine, so don't expect these features popping up in your Zoom calls anytime soon. All jokes aside, as work from home continues to be the new normal across plenty of industries, it's not surprising to see companies like NVIDIA step up to try to make these spaces easier and more professional, even if it means they have to walk through the uncanny valley first. Okay, so just to summarize for those trying to keep up, NVIDIA has come out with a platform that will make deep fakes incredibly easy for everyone, and will probably soon be built right into Zoom, built right into Skype, built right into all your messaging platforms, because as they mentioned, right now they're not selling it directly to consumers, but they're partnering with other firms, third-party firms. So this is another step, Gonz, towards the you can't believe literally anything you see on the internet journey, because, you know, now if it can be done live and, done in such normal circumstances as a Zoom call, I mean, you can't even trust Zoom calls anymore. If someone looks like they're paying attention, they could technically just be taking a nap or playing video games or something.
Yeah.
It's this commercialization of the ubiquitousness of deception is what this is.
Yeah. So a couple of things. One, of course, we've mentioned it several times, but the NVIDIA logo is like a swirly spiral eyeball. So you have like your eye, all-seeing eye reference, but also like the creepy, kind of similar to like the swirly pedo symbols too.
Right. Yeah.
But this reminds me big time of the proxy in a story called The Atopia Chronicles by Matthew Mather. I've mentioned it several times because I think Matthew Mather is one of those guys that wrote about things that will come, sometime in this century, unless the Lord returns. And one of those things is the proxy. So what the proxy does is, it's a little bit different from what this is, but it's similar in that a proxy will take over your biological body, and it'll do all the boring things like eat and sleep and go to the restroom and like the stuff that's time consuming that keeps you from doing fun things like, I don't know, surfing the internet. And so you have your proxy to handle all that, and then you have your real you, quote unquote, be in the cyberspace and interacting and doing all kinds of stuff. So I feel like this is moving in that direction, especially that part about like, like you'll be looking, it'll make it look like you're paying attention, but actually you're not. You know, like you're actually doing something else, but for the person on the other side.
They're going to build in, filters like Snapchat and Instagram and all those things.
Oh, yeah.
So you won't even really be able to believe that that's the person you're looking at, Yeah. It's just unsafe. I mean, there is going to come a day, Gonz, and we need to figure out our way around it, but there's going to become a day where we'll connect to do a show, and we won't even be sure if the person on the other side is Gonz or Basil.
And then we're going to have to come up with some protocol, make sure they're not a deep fake,
Yeah, that might be a good way to solve our baby week problem,
That's true, yeah.
Or if I go on vacation, you can still have a deep fake of my VR goggles roaming around the screen. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just, this one actually caught me off guard. We spent a lot of time thinking about this and keeping up with latest updates and stuff and the possibilities that are in our near future. This one caught me off guard. I did not think that they were going to go so far as to try to build in deep faking into every video call.
Yeah, and it's fascinating too because you have this diagram on the video that it was playing in the background, and it has like a girl, she's on a webcam, and then it, the sender basically, and it has the key point extraction on her face, and then it shows what the receiver gets, and then a neural network that outputs the AI compression of your face.
Yeah.
And of course, there's a neural network in between you and the other person.
Yeah. And to put it simply, it's kind of like the way that the teleporter works on Star Trek, where, in the teleporter, it takes your body apart and puts it back together in another place. That's a little bit how this is, where you're no longer even sending a video signal. What you're doing is sending instructions to a deep fake on the other end to act like you are acting. So it's even weirder in that you're not sending a video signal, which is like the last bastion of truth, a live video, the last bastion of truth online. Where now it's not even a live video. It's just a recreation of just some AI data being sent through.
Did you ever see the movie Surrogate?
Never did.
So in the movie, they're basically people in a closet while their robot avatars are out in the world doing things or whatever.
Yeah. Very similar to that.
Yeah, there's a lot of movies that have that kind of theme, but then, they show the wife. I can't remember the main character, if it was Bruce Willis or somebody in the chat would know. But anyway, they show the wife, in real life, and she looks all, tattered and hair's all messy and dark bags under her eyes. But then her avatar robot of herself out there walking around is all
beautiful.
Yeah, is all done up and everything. So it's like that, except, not quite the physical robots yet. Just the online version, which conveniently, of course, the whole Rona thing has multiplied the advancement of that type of technology. Not the advancement per se, the common day use of online, technologies really sped it up a whole lot. I think I was reading some. It was a story that I didn't include. But there was I'm looking for stories that have the phrase "New World Order" in there, and one of these guys on one of the Japanese outlets, speaking for China, was basically saying that because of the coronavirus, 7 years of technology have been smashed into 7 months.
Totally.
In terms of the usage of the kinds of technologies that would have been, would have taken about 7 years to go mainstream are now, smashed into a few months here. So
since it's being brought up, Surrogates, I guess, has Bruce Willis in it. Is that what I heard?
That's what I said. Yeah.
We were talking before the show when we were discussing my accent that I would say the title of the show in, and I told a story, Gons, about I was talking with some Australian guys and some Irish guys, and we were talking about English accents and Irish accents and Australian accents, and the topic came up to my accent, my American accent, and I asked these Australians and Irish guys, what is it? What's the American accent like? What do I sound like? And they're like, oh, you sound like you're going to kill someone and jump out of a helicopter. I'm like, what? They're like, oh, you sound like Bruce Willis. It's cool, man. We love it. I'm like, no, weird. Nobody's ever told me I have anything in common with Bruce Willis, but I'll take that one.
Well, and I was mentioning how, and we have international listeners live right now that may be able to attest to this, but most of what people get of what the American accent is around the world is through movies and like all action heroes. And although I don't know, do people really think we talk like Arnold, like walking around?
But Arnold doesn't have an American accent.
I know, that's what I'm saying, but it's an American movie.
Oh no, that's why Bruce Willis. We're all Bruce Willis over here. I'll take it.
Or like Tom Cruise or something.
I don't know, but we should move on. Okay. We're running out of time. What's our next story?
Next story it's similar, and it has to do with the brain and AI.
I'm your brain. Artificial intelligence.
And the outlet is govtech.com, government technology. Neuron-like circuits bring brain-like computers a step closer. And this was, who's the author here? Stanley Williams at Texas A&M University. It's written in first person here. The big idea. For the first time, my colleagues and I have built a single electronic device that is capable of copying the functions of neuron cells in the brain. We then connected 20 of them together to perform a complicated calculation. This work shows that it is scientifically possible to make an advanced computer that does not rely on transistors to calculate and that uses much less electrical power than today's data centers. Our research, which began in 2004, was motivated by two questions. Can we build a single electronic element, the equivalent of a transistor or switch, that performs most of the known functions of neurons in a brain? If so, can we use it as a building block to build useful computers? Neurons are very finely tuned, and so are electronic elements that emulate them. I co-authored a research paper in 2013 that laid out in principle what needed to be done. It took my colleagues, Suhas Kumar and others, 5 years of careful exploration to get exactly the right material composition and structure to produce the necessary property predicted from theory. Kumar then went a major step further and built a circuit with 20 of these elements connected to one another through a network of devices that can be programmed to have particular capacitances or abilities to store electric charge. He then mapped a mathematical problem to the capacitances in the network, which allows him to use the device to find a solution to a small version of a problem that is important in a wide range of modern analytics. The simple example we used was to look at the possible mutations that have occurred in a family of viruses by comparing pieces of their genetic information. Pretty convenient. Why it matters. The performance of computers is rapidly reaching a limit because the size of the smallest transistor is in integrated circuits is now approaching 20 atoms wide. Any smaller and the physical principles that determine transistor behavior no longer apply. There is a high-stakes competition to see if someone can build a much better transistor, a method for stacking transistors or some other device that can perform the tasks that currently require thousands of transistors. This quest is important because people have become used to the exponential improvement of computing capacity and efficiency of the past 40 years, and many business models in our economy have been built on this expectation. Engineers and computer scientists have now constructed machines that collect enormous amounts of data, which is an ore from which the most valuable commodity information is refined. The volume of that data is almost doubling every year, which is outstripping the capacity of today's computers to analyze it. And I think he's talking about Moore's law there, right? Moore's law, which talks about the basically how computing, twice as much computing can happen in the same amount of space, and that's doubling, or the doubling that happens I think it's every couple years or something. I can't remember.
I think it was 4 years it doubles the speed of computing.
Maybe something like that. Yeah. But
we're running out of. We're hitting the end of that graph.
20 atoms wide. That's very small. What other research is being done in this field? The fundamental theory of neuron function was first proposed by Alan Hodgkin and Andrew Huxley about 70 years ago.
Wow, 70 years ago. He was ahead of his time, like the rest of the Huxley brothers. Yeah, and I had not heard of this Huxley brother.
Well, I was even questioning the fact that it was part of the Huxley family. Well, let me just finish this paragraph here. And it is still in use today. It is very complex and difficult to simulate on a computer, and only recently has it been reanalyzed and cast in the mathematics of modern nonlinear dynamics theory by Leon Chua. I was inspired by this work and have spent much of the past 10 years learning the necessary math and figuring out how to build a real electronic device that works as the theory predicts. There are numerous research teams around the world taking different approaches to building brain-like or neuromorphic computer chips. Okay, so I wanted to check to see if this Andrew Huxley guy had anything to do with the notorious Huxley brothers. Or Aldous Huxley and Julian Huxley. Huxley, who basically started the UN and UNESCO specifically, and of course Aldous Huxley, who wrote the book Brave New World. And as I went through some of his work here, or his life, yes, he is part of the Huxley brothers.
Wow.
It says here, Huxley was born in Lampstead, London, England on 22nd November 1917. He was the youngest son of the writer and editor Leonard Huxley by Leonard Huxley's second wife, Rosalind Bruce, and hence half-brother of the writer Aldous Huxley and fellow biologist Julian Huxley, and grandson of the biologist T.H. Huxley. And if you guys know about T.H., do you know about T.H. Huxley, Basil?
We've talked about it before, but you can do a quick reminder.
He's the guy that really was behind the theory of evolution.
Right.
He was doing a lot of the occult stuff surrounding it. And let's see, I went through the whole thing here, but I won't go through the entire thing. I had some stuff. I thought I had stuff highlighted. Maybe not. Let's see, where was he? Had stuff highlighted. What happened to the highlight? Maybe the Huxleys got into my computer and unhighlighted.
That's what happens, man.
Yeah. Andrew Huxley was elected a Fellow of the Royal Society in 1955 and became president in 1980. The Royal Society awarded him with the Copley Medal in 1973. He was conferred a Knight Bachelor by Queen Elizabeth II in 1974.
Ooh, Knight Bachelor.
Yeah, not one for the show, unfortunately. Wouldn't mind the Huxley Bucks.
Huxley Bucks. Bucks.
And he was appointed to the Order of Merit in 1983. And where was the other part here? So basically in his career, he was doing all these experiments. And he was he was one of the first people to really look into like muscles and neurons in general.
Yeah.
Try to find the spot here. Okay, in 1980, Huxley was elected president of the Royal Society, a post he held until 85. In his presidential address in 1981, he chose to defend the Darwinian explanation of evolution, as his ancestor T.H. Huxley had in 1860. Whereas T.H. Huxley was defying the bishops of his day, Sir Andrew was countering new theories of periods of accelerated change. And in 83, he defended Margaret Thatcher as a fellow on the grounds of her support for science. I think it was before this when he did some of this weird experiments on squids, hence the artwork of the show here. I'm trying to find the spot. Man, it really bums me out that the
highlights didn't stick.
Yeah. Well, he was hooking up longfin inshore squid and trying to figure out how, the neurons, the electrical pulses worked in neurons and measure those electrical signals. He was one of the first people to do that, to
and
measure
he was doing that a long time ago, too.
Yeah, it's like the 40s, 30s, something like that. And again, this is like the beginning of...
and that's some real biocomputing, too. That's basically creating a giant brain with a bunch of squids.
Yeah, it's the earliest forms of cybernetics in terms of...
some true biocybernetics. Holy smokes.
So that's why it's fascinating that this lesser-known Huxley was involved in something like this. I don't know what they were feeding these Huxley kids.
Wow, yeah. That family was definitely connected, yeah. It's really interesting when you consider the things that his two brothers were doing, Julian and Andrew. Aldous writing the book that he wrote, of course, it was seen as a warning about what the future could look like. Some consider it an instruction manual.
Right.
But he was really surrounded. His brothers were doing this work, and he was just kind of ended up being the communicator who put it all into his books and got it out into the mainstream zeitgeist, I guess.
Right.
So that's pretty interesting. A triple powerhouse, one doing cybernetics and biology, the other doing government work, and then the author brother putting it all together and putting it out in a very popular work.
Okay, so I think I found it here. So this is 1939. Alan Lloyd Hodgkin returned from the U.S. to take up a fellowship at Trinity College, and Huxley became one of his postgraduate students. Hodgkin was interested in the transmission of electrical signals along nerve fibers. Beginning in 1935 in Cambridge, he had made preliminary measurements on frogs' sciatic nerves, suggesting that the accepted view of the nerve as a simple elongated battery was flawed. Hodgkin invited Huxley to join him researching the problem. The work was experimentally challenging. One major problem was that the small size of most neurons made it extremely difficult to study them using the techniques of the time. They overcame this by working at the Marine Biological Association laboratory in Plymouth, using the giant axon on the longfin inshore squid, which have the largest neurons known. The experiments were still extremely challenging, as the nerve impulses only last a fraction of a millisecond, during which time they needed to measure the changing electrical potential at different points along the nerve. Using equipment largely of their own construction and design, including one of the earliest applications of a technique of electrophysiology known as the voltage clamp. Sounds terrifying. They were able to record ionic currents. In 1939, they jointly published a short paper in Nature reporting on the work done in Plymouth and announcing their achievement of recording action potentials from inside a nerve fiber. So yeah, very much, you talk about MK Ultra and, electrotherapy and that kind of stuff. This is like some of the early forms of it. And I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of that, dark CIA research wasn't inspired by this guy.
Oh, I'm
some
sure.
of the stuff he was doing.
Yeah. That's crazy. Well, that's a very good lesson on the Huxley family. It's just the thought plickens,
Yeah, so back to the whole govtech.com article. It says here, what's next? The technological challenge now is to scale up our proof of principles demonstration to something that can compete against today's digital behemoths. So there you go. This is going along the traditions that were set by the family that came up with the Brave New World. I mean, it's very much go, there's nothing really slowing it down. There's nobody out there saying,
"Stop this progress before it is too late."
It just
That's
keeps
what we're
on
here
going.
for, Gons.
Apparently, it's our job, but
Yeah.
they're not going to listen to us,
Well, speaking of which, Gons, this is going to be a little bit of a shorter show, but we've got a lot more to get to, so I think we should take a quick break.
It's break time! Come on, take a break.
Okie dokie, folks. Don't go anywhere. We're going to take a quick break, thank some people, and show some art and things like that. But after the break, we've got an interesting story regarding the internet kill switch, the American internet kill switch that needs to be discussed, as well as some QAnon news. We're going to continue observing the situation where QAnon and the mainstream are colliding. But before that, let's start out by thanking some new Twitch followers, Gonzo.
Twitchy.
You ready?
Yep.
All right. First, I want to thank That Flat Earth Guy. Thanks for the follow.
Nice.
Next, we have Jim Tendo.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. Then Kemp 1105.
Sean Kemp?
I don't know. Then we have Riots Exis Best. Yeah, I had to switch up and keep that friendly there. Then we have Black Whales A. Or Black Whale ZA. Kabbalapalooza.
Sounds like a legit thing that you need to go to.
Then we have it's like a Coachella, but it's for Illuminati members.
Yeah.
Then we have New Two Box.
Hey.
Yeah. I'm not sure if that's Old Two Box or if it's a different take on Old Two Box, New Two Box. Then I want to give a big thank you to the El Iguana Man or Thiel Iguana Man. I'm not sure. There you go. Those are all of our new Twitch followers. Thank you so much, folks. We like to, we like to try to make sure everybody is subscribed on multiple platforms and turn on notifications. Twitch is a great way to do that. And the Twitch chatters always having a good old time in the chat. So we recommend that even if you prefer YouTube or prefer something else, definitely a good idea to subscribe on multiple platforms, turn on notifications so you don't miss a show. Okay, next up, we're going to be thanking some producers, Gons, and you'll see on the list there, a couple came in during the show. I put them on the list for you. We're going to be thanking our producers, and you might be thinking, what do you mean producers? This is a indie podcast. You can't have producers. Well, that's not quite true, folks, because we are on the value for value model. What does that mean? That means we do not advertise. You may notice we don't do any advertising on this show. And, some people, especially if they're new to the show, they just beg for advertisements instead of going off of our value for value model. But, it's just a matter of time before you realize that the advertising model is not as innocent as it seems. Advertising is the reason big data and, things like TikTok and China taking data and Facebook selling data and Cambridge Analytica, all that is because of advertising. It's really the real virus that has taken down life as we know it on Earth here. And it also incentivizes creators like Gonz and I to consider our listeners, our audience, as cattle, as a commodity to be traded for fiat dollars. And, we just didn't like the idea of having to think of every one of our dear, dear listeners, our family, if you will, as a commodity so we could turn around, sell their data, and advertise on the show for some corporation that doesn't care about us or doesn't care about our people. All they care about is making money. And, it just didn't feel right to us. I mean, even tied in with all that is just the brainwashing aspect of advertising and the demand to be compliant, to be brand friendly, not to talk about things that could get us in trouble and be forced to apologize for stating facts like many famous notable podcasters. No, we eschew that whole system. And instead, we run on the value for value model, which means we put out a show. We do it 3 times a week, most of the time, and we do a pretty good job. And if you gain any value out of what we do, you have the opportunity to put value back in. And indeed, we cannot continue if it were not for dear producers dear listeners becoming producers and supporting the show. And you can do that in a lot of different ways, but we'll go through them right now. And if you are considering becoming a producer, keep in mind, these are all people who are in a similar situation as you, and they made the plunge. They invested. This is, you really need to consider it this way. You're investing in your own media future. If all of our producers ceased, the show would have a really hard time going, and you'd be relegated to watching some show that's advertising and selling your data and trying to brainwash you into buying Swiffer wet jets, or, God forbid, turning to the mainstream media. So, producing the show is an investment in your media future, in the future of your children's media, and, also an investment in the life of Gonzo and I to be able to continue doing this. Okay, so let's start out. One of the best, and the first way you can help produce the show is by going to patreon.com/CCNT for Canary Cry News Talk, patreon.com/CCNT. And there you can sign up to support the show, just like our new producer, John. Thank you, producer John. That's right.
Thank you, John.
And we also had a new producer come in during the show, and that is producer Hannah. Thank you very much, producer Hannah.
Thank you,
Let me just reload, make sure nobody else came in while I'm saying this. Nope, that's it. Thank you, John, and thank you, Hannah, for becoming producers of this show 252. Now, we also have another Patreon called patreon.com/CCR for Canary Cry Radio.
No, it's Canary Cry Radio. It's not CCR.
What did I say?
You said CCR.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Patreon.com/CanaryCryRadio. No new producers coming in there. So thank you, producer John. Thank you, producer Hannah. Now, here's the thing, folks. If you don't like Patreon, that's okay. There's a lot of reasons not to like Patreon. But if you still want to become a producer of the show, you can head on over to CanaryCryRadio.com/support.
CanaryCryRadio.com/support.
That's right. Over at CanaryCryRadio.com/support, there's a bunch of other ways to support the show. One of them is through PayPal. We've got monthly options if you'd like to become a recurring producer, or if commitment's not your thing, you can make a one-time donation, one-time producership in any amount. And Gons, who do we have coming in through the PayPal?
First off, before we get into all the PayPal producers, I just wanted to mention, if you are a Canary Cry Radio patron, so patreon.com/CanaryCryRadio, there is merch that we're supposed to send out to you, and I just have to do that. I'm going to try to get that done before the end of the year, but we'll see.
Yes, it is coming. Apologize for a little bit of a slowdown there.
Yeah. I need little robot arms to package that stuff for me.
Let's do it.
30K, get a flippy arm.
For 30K, we can send you waffle fries for becoming a producer.
Okay, so PayPal producers, to start things off, Cynthia. Thank you, Cynthia.
Thank you, producer Cynthia.
And she came in with a Trump tax /33 by coming in with $75.33.
I love that. This combination donations are great.
Yes. And also want to thank producer Sergey. Thank you, Sergey.
Producer Sergey.
And we also have producer Exodus 32.
Thank you, producer Exodus.
32. Exodus 32.
Okay.
Give him the full thing. Come on, man.
You're right.
We also want to thank producer Michael.
Thank you, producer Michael.
Thank you, producer Michael, coming in at $33.33.
Nice.
And a big thank you to producer Paul. Thank you, Paul.
Yes, thank you. Producer Paul came in during the show.
Quick.
He's quick on the draw there. Thank you, producer Paul.
Good stuff. And we'd also like to thank, last but not least, producer Aaron. Thank you, producer Aaron.
Thank you very much, producer Aaron. And I'm looking at the amount here. That makes producer Aaron the executive producer for today. So producer Aaron, if you're listening, executive producer of episode 252.
Yes. And well on his way to knighthood.
Yes.
And there are other ways you can support the show with your treasure. You can support us with cryptocurrencies. You can go to CanaryCryRadio.com/crypto, learn how to do that, and also, learn a little bit about what the whole crypto thing is about.
Yeah, it's a great place to start. Even if you're not that familiar with cryptocurrency and you want to learn, Gon's put a great page together there that will help explain it to you.
Cool. And because, money is just money.
Yeah.
Medium of exchange, right? We don't have any nights today. We didn't. Another way you can produce the show is with your talent. And of course, we always feature the talent that is brought onto the show. We didn't have any jingles sent in for this episode or music. We're still waiting for like another song. It would be nice to have a whole end of show mix that we can have.
We get one every couple months.
Yes.
But it's almost time for another one.
Which I think I have to... one of the songs that we play at the end, I got the correct drum track, so I have to go back and edit something on one of the tracks that we got. I've been meaning to do that. Yeah, a little remix there. But also, more importantly, well, maybe not more importantly, but more frequently, art.
One
Yay.
art, please.
And we have a big group of people, producers, coming in with their art today. So I'd like to start off by thanking Russell for coming in with a couple of 33 inspired art.
Oh, yes.
And kind of psychedelic. I don't know. It's,
it almost looks like it was
interesting.
created by a neural network or something.
Yeah.
But very cool nonetheless. And for those listening to the podcast version, they are both big 33, number 33, but with a lot of sort of space and fractal and I don't know, very, very well composed.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in some of these that it looks like people or individuals or entities or something kind of hidden in the art. It's very intricate.
Representation of the mystery of the Illuminati dog whistle there.
Yes. So if you want to take a closer look at that or any of these pieces of art, you can go to CanaryCryNewsTalk.com and look for the episode that we talk about with each one of these. So thank you, Russell. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Russell.
For the 33 artwork. Next up, we have 88.
Epony Blaze says it's like one of those color blindness tests.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of
sort
is.
Of, huh? Yeah. If you're colorblind, you won't see the number there.
Yeah.
Okay. Also coming in, 88 Special came in with a piece of art, couple of cool canaries.
This was so funny.
I love it. It's I think it's you and I as canaries.
Yeah, we're gonna have to put this on a shirt. This is really great. Who was this? What was the name of
88 Special.
88 Special. And for those listening, it is a really well done illustration. It's Gonz and I as canaries, but we're sort of humanoid canaries. I'm wearing a cool Hawaiian shirt that I'm sure I'll get canceled for. I got my scruff there, got kind of a laissez-faire. I got my VR helmet on, some laissez-faire look in my giant eyeballs. And Gonz, you're looking pretty cool back there too. You look like an anime character. Got your beard and your glasses, and you're wearing a big hoodie. This is really fun. This would be a fun T-shirt. We might have to let producer Dust, who is working the merch perch,
CanaryCryMerchPerch.com.
Yes.
Yeah,
and it says "couple of cool canaries." This is very fun. I'm gonna have to print this one out.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
Thank you very much, 88 Special. I love this one.
Yeah, very good, very good. We also have Lekekt. He labeled this piece of art. It's pronounced Lekekt. LEK3CT.
Yes.
So I don't know. I still don't know. I'm sure that was done on purpose to help us not help us.
Oh, that is great. Okay, so here I'll explain this one.
Yeah.
Also, in a very unique illustrative style here, we've got a crowd of people, and up at a podium is looks to be some sort of representation of Greta Thunberg.
Greta.
Yes, Greta. But she's got a little armband there with a nuclear symbol, and she is saying, "Time is a bigger threat than global warming. We need to kill time." And then we've got people in the crowd here going, "Go, Shmurata! We love you, Shmurata! She is so brave."
Oh,
And
you
there's
know
a
what? Go ahead.
Well, there's a TV there with a newscaster that says Kronos is coming.
Yeah, that's why. We need to kill time because Kronos is coming, and also another little Easter egg, and not in the real sense there, but Alice in the audience there from Alice in Wonderland.
Yes. Very good. Thank you, Lekecht. Always lots of analysis to go into your artwork. Deep thinker, that Lekecht.
Yeah, very meta artwork.
Yes.
Yeah, took a second to realize what was going on when I first opened this. Shmurata. Okay. Thank you, Lekecht. I'm sure that's not how you say it. LEK3CT.
Well, they didn't correct us.
I know.
So we're just going to keep saying that until we're corrected.
Lekecht. Okay, this next one, a couple pieces from Yvonne. Ooh. This first one from Yvonne is called Thulk. Newsflash: Trump was put on steroids, and it's the Great Hulk, all in green there with his purple pants, but Trump's head.
Yes, very good Photoshop job there. And yeah, they were making a huge deal about how he's on steroids. I didn't quite understand why that was such, a piece of radical information. But
yeah, I don't know. Don't kids with cancer, don't they get put on
everybody
certain steroids?
Gets steroids. I get steroids when I get, I don't know, some sort of, strep throat or something.
Uh-oh, Basil on roids.
Oh, I wish.
Ag Basil. And
very good, Yvonne. Thank you for that one.
We also have another one from Yvonne, and this one is Reckless Trump, and it's Trump on a motorcycle, and it says, "Breaking news: Trump behaving recklessly after being treated with COVID meds."
Yes, this looks like a clip from one of the more recent Mission Impossibles, but it has Trump's head instead of Tom Cruise.
Yeah, and the red tie, the whole deal. Very good, very well done.
Very good.
So thank you
He's
for
being
that.
so reckless. No mask, no helmet,
and his hair flopping everywhere. It's fantastic. And
thank you very much, Yvonne.
Yes, thank you, Yvonne. And last but not least, we have one from Ali. Gazzle and
Ali.
Bonds in the chat. Basil brings home the bacon. And this is in reference to you wanting to learn how to...
Yes. Gons, let me explain this one. I realized you missed a piece of art.
Oh, I did.
You did. Search... what was it called? Oh, no. A Case of the Basils.
Okay.
Search A Case of the Basils. It's right there in the list. Okay, so while Gons pulls that up, I'll describe this. I mentioned last episode we were talking about, the wild boars that were taking over America, and I talked about how, you can pretty much shoot as many of these things as you want. Talking about how I wanted to get into hunting to get more in tune with where my food comes from. And this one, Ali, Gazzle and Bonds in the chat, calls it Basil brings home the bacon. You got a couple of pigs, a couple of wild boars, and then of course stalking through the grass. There's me with my VR headset and an AR-15 bringing home the bacon. Very good, Ali. Thank you. And yeah, something tells me this is not the last we'll hear of these wild boars taking over the country.
Yeah. And I did find it. I totally forgot about this one. I'm sorry. I will include it now. It was done by. So thank you, Ali, for the Basil brings home the bacon.
Always a pleasure, Ali.
And the one we missed here, Mark. And Mark sent one in called. Hold on here.
A Case of the Basils.
Case of the Basils. And it was me talking about telling listeners, let basil grow on you. So took it literally.
Then there's a lot going on here. He actually took a piece that Allie did a while back after I did my dinosaur impression, and my eyeball fell off, and we were talking about the guy who got stabbed by a narwhal tusk. And this is a little bit of a concerning representation of, letting Basil grow on you. But there's an arm with a wound, and coming out of the wound is this terrifying lizard person, Basil. It says, I seem to have caught a nasty case of the Basil's Stabman variant. Oh, yes, Stabman being the name of this rendition of Basil with the narwhal horn.
This is great because this is taking previous art and recreating it, repurposing it, which is this is the beauty of the producership of our show. Is It's all open source, folks. You can use each other's art and create new art. It's all it's all under fair use.
That's right. Well, very good. And I think Allie gets a little credit too for inspiring it. But thank you very much, Mark. I'm glad we caught that.
Producer thank you for that. Thank you for that. Because there was a lot of art today. I
there was.
Keep up with everything. There was literally, how many pieces of art is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces of art.
6, 8. Wow.
Yeah.
That's probably a record.
Yeah, it's got to be.
So thank you to all of our artists, and there you go. If you have talent, you can become a producer just by creating show-themed art. Make sure it has something to do with the show, and there surely is a lot of prompts for you. So go nuts there. And for anybody who wants to do some content creation for the show, jingles, music, art, you can email all of that to CanaryCryRadio@gmail.com. And of course, a big thank you to producer That Night Wind for giving us the timestamps for every episode for the YouTube post, for those who just want to skip around topic by topic instead of having to listen to all the nonsense in between. We do want to mention again, CanaryCryMerchPerch.com. They're Dust. They're going by Dust now. So Dust, producer Dust, I'd say, put together CanaryCryMerchPerch.com. It's always being updated with new art. And we got an email that the pricing structure and the structure of how the funds will be divvied up. It will go between the artist, possibly. We're working on that. Us, the show, and the webmaster. So it's a family-run company. Or operation, but we thank very much producer Dust for taking this project on, and that's how we roll. Gonzo and I can't do everything, so it takes the Canary Cry family. So there will be a growing collection of Canary Cry merch being available there. And the pricing structures and stuff, they're all getting figured out. It's still in process, but go check it out, CanaryCryMerchPerch.com.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else, Gons?
Well, just wake up your normie friends, huh?
Okay, wake up.
Yes, it's wake up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
Oh, yeah.
Completely losing control of my VR space here. I'll start out here, Gons. Okay. And we got to zoom. We're a little bit past your out time, so we're going to zoom through the rest of the show here, folks. Sorry about that. This is on fee.org, the Foundation for Economic Education, and the article is titled, "The President Has an Internet Kill Switch. A bipartisan group of lawmakers wants to change that." The COVID... Good one. The COVID-19 crisis has taken an enormous toll, with more than 200,000 Americans having succumbed to the virus, according to government data. Okay, so the sweeping government response has wrought both unprecedented economic and public health consequences. Thus, in addition to the obvious health consequences, one major concern posed by the COVID-19 crisis is that unprecedented government power grabs may be here to stay. No kidding. But okay, I'm glad somebody else is talking about this. Consider that the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention used the coronavirus as pretext to unconstitutionally permanently outlaw evictions nationwide in a de facto nationalization of the rental market. Wow, I had not heard it described like that before. Or the Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer baselessly made lawn care services illegal, and it quickly becomes clear why a bipartisan group of legislators is now seeking to limit the government's power to take drastic action in future emergencies. Right now, the executive branch technically has the authority under a World War II era amendment of the Communications Act of 1934 to seize control of, monitor, or shut down, quote, any wire communication if the president deems it necessary for national security and declares an emergency. This power, applied to the modern age, would certainly include the ability of a president to, amid a crisis, seize control of the internet or even shut it off in swaths of the country in the name of national security. It even appears the president could do this all unilaterally, meaning he could just do it whenever he wants and not have to get approval. Thankfully, on September 23rd, Senator Rand Paul, there's a little typo there, I think, but Senators Rand Paul, Gary Peters, and Ron Wyden joined forces with Representatives Thomas Macy, Tulsi Gabbard to introduce a bill rolling back these drastic powers. Quote, if you give government an inch, it takes 10 miles, and this has been vividly illustrated by the surveillance state's overreaches in a time of seamlessly endless war, Paul said. Quote, no president from either party should have the sole power to shut down or take control of the internet or any other of our communication channels during an emergency. Quote, the oath that I took as a soldier and as a member of Congress was to support and defend our Constitution, Gabbard remarked. No president should have the power to ignore our freedoms guaranteed by the Constitution and violate our civil liberties and privacy by declaring a national emergency. When governments around the world turn off internet access, they do significant harm to their national economies and their citizens' civil rights, Macy said. This bipartisan bill will ensure that no future American president can unilaterally trip an internet kill switch. Americans do not have to accept the premise that one person can deprive them of their First Amendment rights by flipping a switch. Why restraining the government's emergency powers is necessary. Some might fail to see the need to roll back emergency powers over the internet. After all, they would only be ever used in a true extreme emergency, right? Why wouldn't we want the government to have all the available tools to address a genuine crisis? The problem with this stance becomes clear when you take even a cursory glance at how often the word crisis is bantered about in modern political discourse. Politicians call student loan debt a crisis, the affordability of housing a crisis, the healthcare a crisis. Others dub everything from the national debt to overregulation a crisis. None of this is to say these issues are not pressing, important, or even urgent, but it's apparent that just about every issue under the sun can be considered a crisis or emergency to its ardent advocates. So, the notion that emergency powers will only be used in extreme circumstances is deeply naive, and both perceived crises and actual crises are often used as justification for sweeping government power grabs. As Friedrich Hayek once observed, quote, emergencies have always been the pretext on which safeguards of individual liberty have been eroded. Robert Higgs concurred in his seminal work, Crisis and Leviathan, in which he explains how the government obtains new powers each time a crisis emerges, but rarely, if ever, relinquishes them when the crisis passes. Quote, in one form of another, great crises will surely come again, Higgs wrote. When they do, governments almost certainly will gain new powers over economic and social affairs. For those who cherish individual liberty and a free society, the prospect is deeply disheartening. Just one last little section here. History shows how emergency powers led to disastrous abuses. During World War II, President Franklin, sorry. We've seen this play out time and time again in American history. During World War II, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt used the emergency posed by the war to round up Asian Americans and Asian immigrants and throw them in internment camps without due process or even any suspicion of wrongdoing. In the wake of 9/11 terrorist attacks, the emergency was used as justification for unconstitutional warrantless spying on Americans and the detention and torture of alleged enemy combatants without any due process. Many of these spying powers are still in effect today, nearly 2 decades after the attack, and the internet kill switch is itself a remnant of emergency powers granted during World War II, but never rescinded. Imagine the havoc a power-hungry federal government controlled by either party could wreak during an emergency, real or perceived, by seizing control of wireless communications. Yet this isn't a far-fetched fantasy. If we leave the federal government's sweeping power to shut down the internet on the books, it's likely it will eventually be exercised to the detriment of Americans' civil liberties. And once the power is exercised, it's unlikely we'll ever be able to scale it back. This is not a hypothetical. China shut down the internet in Xinjiang for an entire year in 2009 in response to protests and riots in the region. Iran temporarily killed the internet in 2019 to shut down the spread of information during anti-regime protests. Even democratic nations such as India have exercised an internet kill switch in some regions to control the populace and stifle communication. But this dystopian fate isn't inevitable for the United States. We should be thankful for the bipartisan group of legislators working to ensure that this nightmare scenario never comes to life here. It doesn't matter whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, liberal or conservative. It doesn't matter whether you despise Donald Trump or are horrified by the thought of President Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. If the thought of your political opponents wielding unilateral control over the internet disturbs you, that's a good sign it's a power the government should not have. So there you go, Gons. Kind of speaks for itself. There's not too much to analyze within that whole thing. But yeah, left over from World War II, the president currently has unilateral control to shut down the internet. We've seen it many times in other countries over the past 5-10 years. And I don't think it's out of the question that either one of the presidential candidates would consider exercising this power.
Yeah, well, connecting it to the next story, the whole QAnon stuff, people have suggested the 10 days of darkness and things of that nature, where Trump will shut off the internet while he makes all the deep state swamp draining arrests, and that kind of thing. But, there's something interesting about this, because in all the examples that were mentioned in one place in China and India, it's fascinating to me, because on one hand, the government has this overreaching surveillance state. Mm-hmm. Are they willing to shut that down? They have to weigh their options if they're going to shut it down, because then they lose track of a lot of
although they might be able to just shut down certain aspects of it.
Certain aspects, or maybe certain regions, depending on what, isolated situations or whatever.
Yeah. And Harpazo Man in the chat says, so you can imagine what will happen if your brain is connected to the internet.
Oh, yeah.
Via brain net or Neuralink. Thank you. So, yeah, there you go.
What happened? I'm normal.
Yeah, I'm just a normal human.
I'm just a human. Where's my enhancement?
Right.
Yeah, so I understand the concern here, and certainly I think it's good that we shouldn't have a internet kill switch that's controlled. This is similar to the nuclear. It shouldn't
exist at all. The fact that it exists is problematic.
Well, it's kind of similar to the nuclear codes. The president has power to, and part of it also is a good reason for decentralization of all the internet and all the technologies, because in theory, the ideal situation would be that every single person is smart enough or savvy enough to create their own or have their own computer servers and to host your own data and information, and you can control where it's being shared and how far and wide it goes. And if they shut down the internet, you still can technically have all your data at least. And, if you have independent connections between server farms or whatever, you won't need, the government can't step in and really shut it down. So that's kind of the idea of a true, idea of decentralization in a kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Ideal, like an idealist kind of way. Not that it's necessarily practical, but it's one way to try to fight this type of control.
Well, and you make a good point referring to decentralization. For those who know and for those who are learning, decentralized internet using blockchain technology would essentially avoid any possibility of centralized control. So you're talking about, internet, whatever, 5.0 or whatever we're getting, wherever we're going.
I think it's Web 3.0 that we're approaching here. But that is something to point out because, if they shut down the internet in America, let's say, I'm not quite sure if a lot of the US banks have like servers offshore, but effectively you won't be able to access any of your money. And people always have said like, oh, what if they shut down the internet? If, you lose all your Bitcoin, it's like, well, if they shut down the internet, you're not going to access your bank account either. So,
right.
You know what I mean? But if they just shut it down in the United States, so let's say, the people in China or India, if they had something like Bitcoin and they shut down the internet, they still didn't, you didn't lose all your Bitcoin because there's other places, nodes all across the world maintaining that network. So, it is something to keep in mind, this idea of decentralization, again, in an idealistic form, would combat some of the total authoritarian type of power that an internet kill switch holder would yield.
Totally.
Just something to keep in mind.
Yeah, well, I hope Rand Paul gets there. I was scrolling through my pictures on my your photo album on my phone. And I found the picture I have with Rand Paul.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, for those who don't know, on Canary Cry Radio, our other show, I had a chance to interview Rand Paul. I'm sure it's an irrelevant interview now, and I did kind of choke, but it was back when he was considering running for president.
Didn't you talk to him about his tie or something?
I don't remember. I was so nervous. It was not that great of an interview, but it's on record. I did interview Rand Paul.
Yep. Very good.
So you can check that out. Search Canary Cry Radio. Okay. You want to bring us into the last story here?
Yes. Let me get my jingles aligned for this last one, which is right here.
Cancel culture.
Cue the miserable, cue the desperate. What must I do to convince you people? You're right, Q.
Forbes.com. Facebook has banned QAnon. Oh no.
Oh no.
Facebook is removing all accounts across its platform affiliated with the right-wing QAnon conspiracy theory. I don't know why it's just right-wing. The boldest step after
it's explicitly like a nonpartisan.
It's supposed
group.
To be anyway. Yeah,
I guess it does have a heavy Trump focus though.
Sure. So. The boldest step after months of cracking down on the pro-Trump group, the FBI has warned are, quote, conspiracy theory-driven domestic terrorists. Yeah. Do I read these points here? Key facts.
No. Skip the bullet points.
Critical quote. For example, while we've removed QAnon content that celebrates and supports violence.
Yeah, wait, actually, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
no,
I think
the
I have
whole
to read this.
article is the key points.
Okay, key facts. All Facebook pages, groups, and Instagram accounts representing QAnon will be removed even if they do not contain violent content. Facebook announces in a news release Tuesday. The QAnon conspiracy theory, which claims a deep state plot against President Donald Trump and his supporters by a global cabal of sex traffickers looking to create a new world order, has grown in popularity recently. I mean, it's kind of too bad because, I mean, like we've mentioned, there is a bunch of people, these like globalist types that are planning a new world order, and they say it out loud in articles, in published books, and all this stuff.
I do want to correct myself. I think in my own fantasy world, I would like Q to be a nonpartisan thing, but I think in general, it is very much focused on supporting Trump.
Yeah, it is a Trump-backed,
which is one of the reasons why I don't really trust it.
Yeah. Although, just to label it right-wing, because I don't think it's not just a right-wing thing. I know that people, I guess Forbes has to label it that because it's a Trump-supporting movement.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Keep going.
Okay. Republican candidate Marjorie Taylor Greene, who has openly promoted the conspiracy in the past, appears to be a shoo-in to win a U.S. congressional seat from her northern Georgia district, while Trump himself has refused to disavow QAnon. Facebook said it has removed more than 1,500 pages in groups representing QAnon since August 19th, when it announced efforts to disrupt QAnon's ability to organize using its platform. In the past, Facebook has only banned QAnon content that discussed potential violence, but said Tuesday that there were, quote, several issues that led to today's update. Critical quote, for example, while we've removed QAnon content that celebrates and supports violence, we've seen other QAnon content tied to different forms of real-world harm, including recent claims that the West Coast wildfires were started by certain groups, which diverted attention of local officials from fighting the fires and protecting the public, Facebook said in a statement. Okay. Key background, the QAnon conspiracy had quickly spread online after first appearing on 4chan, We know about sort of what Q is. And, that's all there is to this report.
Yeah, well, it's crazy. Complete banning, It's, and of course there's some people in the chat mentioning, they're going after pedophiles and exposing powerful people's wrongdoings. And so, of course, Facebook wants to bring it down, okay? But I think the biggest thing is this is just going to backfire like it always does. This is not going to slow any sort of QAnon thing. This is going to bolster the idea that Q is onto something. And honestly, QAnon people, they don't need Facebook.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
and they'll find sneaky ways to get it back on. Maybe they won't call it QAnon. You're going to see W-anon, and the algos won't catch QAnon.
Yeah, so it's going to start getting. We're going to run out of alphabets, the letters evenally. But I'm sure it'll.
But this is pretty crazy because Facebook has done a very poor job of keeping, sort of pedophilic groups and pages.
Yeah.
They refuse to get rid of a lot of them, and yet now they're just across the board getting rid of Q pages. Again, just to be clear, we're not necessarily Q people, so it doesn't really affect my life, but it is concerning that this is the hill they're standing on.
Yeah, it's weird because Business Insider also had an article about this, and they kept mentioning the phrase baseless conspiracy theories.
Right.
And they're saying baseless conspiracy theories about this or that or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And, if it's baseless conspiracy theories,
it wouldn't catch on
what's the threat?
Quick.
Yeah, what's the what are they afraid of?
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
Why just let them have their baseless conspiracy theories and talk about it?
Right. And if it was that baseless, it wouldn't catch so much attention.
Right.
I mean, it would catch attention. Trends, lots of trends, whether they're conspiracy theories or something else, they'll catch on for a while, but if something is truly baseless, it won't last. And that's the thing about this whole Q thing, is it really has lasted a lot longer than I think a lot of people expected.
And I think because we were around talking about, we didn't call it deep state per se, but just a group of people within government trying to take out the U.S. government, and a global cabal of sex traffickers looking to create a new world order. I mean, that's been talked about way before Q ever hit the public.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And so it just seems like if it is
NSA style hybrid war psyops.
It's a psyop. then it would make sense to allow Q to flourish, get all these people who say this kind of thing to have a movement, and then shut them all down. Because then they can get rid of the actual people. It can, number one, it muddies the waters, right? The people that are really trying to expose the reality of it, they get bombarded by, Q people holding up signs that say, save the children or whatever, which again, yeah, true. Like you want to make sure kids are safe and all that. But you have this muddy of the waters, and then you can shut him all down. You don't have to just focus on a small group. You have this movement you can shut down politically. So it's kind of a herding process. And whether
let it coagulate a little bit.
Yeah.
And then pick the scab.
And you don't have to be a QAnon supporter to get shut down. You can get, because it's like a culling method, if you can openly reject QAnon, but if you question the official narrative, then you're kind of batched in to the same baseless conspiracy theorists.
I wonder, just to disconnect it a little bit, I wonder, this could be a potential political move by Zuckerberg. Trump's really been on Zuckerberg's butt lately about a lot of things. And Zuckerberg, of course, taken down Trump ads, and then Trump, threatening to regulate the big tech companies, which is an obvious threat because Trump hates regulation. However, he's going to, regulate the companies he doesn't like. This might be a political move by Zuckerberg.
To try to show his support for Trump in a way?
No, just to try to show the power he still has, to not be pushed around. It's more of like just throwing a left hook at Trump just to show Trump that, he's not some nerd he can bully.
Yeah, but don't you remember hearing Zuckerberg say,
I am not capable of hatred.
You ask me that a lot. I still don't remember it. Weird how I don't remember that.
We'll wrap up with this real quick as part of this. There's a Q drop on October 7th, 2020, which is today. And the drop was threats, bribes, and blackmail being deployed at unseen levels, ?
Unseen.
Dirty laundry, blackmail, controls DC, ?
No kidding.
Why are they protected, ? Threats, bribes, and blackmail or sharing of like beliefs, ? Dark secrets. Let's see what happens, Q.
Let's do it. Let's see what happens. And that let's see what happens thing is in quotation marks. And that is something Trump kind of says a lot to avoid answering questions. Have you noticed that? A lot of his press briefings, or if he's answering questions, he'll say, oh, I don't know. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. And, as I've said before, the Q posts more recently in the last several months, it's more like a social media platform for somebody. It's not really, you're not really exposing anything or
it's certainly been co-opted by a lot of people. Anybody can make an anonymous account and call it Q and then just do whatever they want. R.I.P. Epstein, aka Lil Mossad in the chat says double, triple, reversal psyop. I think you figured it out. Thank you, Lil Mossad.
That is the truth. They want people to know that they don't know, so they'll look it up even though they're not allowed to, so that they can know without knowing, but they're going to understand what they're not supposed to know.
You heard it here first, folks. We figured it out. All right, Gons, we got to get you out of here, buddy.
Yeah, got to go.
Okie dokie, folks. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Hey, if you are like Byron and you've been thinking, you've been wondering, you've been enjoying the show, you've been valuing the show, and you've been considering becoming a producer, remember, we can't do the show without our producers. So if it's been rattling around in your heart and your soul and your mind to become a producer of the show, consider doing it now or doing it in the next couple days, because our next episode will be on Friday, the 9th. Friday, October 9th will be the next episode, sometime between noon and 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Set your alarms, put it on your schedule. And if you've been thinking about becoming a producer, please consider joining the Value for Value model before Friday. That'll be great. I can't wait to thank some new producers. I want to thank today's producers. We got producer John, producer Hannah, producer Cynthia, producer Sergey, producer Exodus32, producer Michael, producer Aaron, and producer Paul. Thank you guys so much for the help. We cannot do it without you. And remember, if you've got jingles or art or anything like that, you can send that to CanaryCryRadio@gmail.com. Thank you to our artists, Russell, 88 Special, Lekect, Yvonne, and of course, Ali, the illustrious Ali.
Oh, and Mark.
And Mark. Yes, thank you, Mark, also. Also, thank you to That Night Wind for the help with the timestamps on the YouTube video. You are the man. So, yeah, consider getting involved in all sorts of ways. Make sure to keep checking back to Canary Cry Merch Perch. Producer Dust has been really helping us out with that, and keep an eye on it. Some changes will continue, but that's a great way to get your Canary Cry merch and support the show and support the artists and support the webmasters. It's all a big family here. We're all trying to make it work. And again, please consider getting involved with the Value for Value model. Invest. Not only are you investing in your own media future, you're also rebelling against the global theology of advertisement, disconnecting from the big data prison, panopticon prison. There's just so many spiritual and psychological and just social benefits to participating in the Value for Value model. So we thank you guys very, very much. Now, let's see here. Am I missing anything, Gonzo? On Friday, I'll be reading ratings and reviews. So if you haven't done it yet, search Apple Podcasts, Canary Cry News Talk on whatever search bar you like the most. And that'll take you to where you can leave a rating and a review. We'll be reading those on Friday, my favorite time of the week. So please, if you haven't done it, it's very, very helpful. Gonz and I read it all, makes us feel all warm and fuzzy. And it's a good way to, let us know how much you appreciate what we're doing. But it's also a great way to tell the algorithms that control that stuff to share the show with more people. That's something just we have no control over. It's weird. That's all on you guys. So every rating and review counts and helps, and I'll be reading them on Friday. So please search Apple Podcasts, Canary Cry News Talk, leave a rating and a review. Thank you so much. And the best way to share the show, to help the show, is to share the show personally. You got friends, you got family, they're all waking up to the fact that the world is not what it seems. And if they need any help, why not send them an episode of Canary Cry News Talk? We're here. We make it easy. We make it fun and light. We're not here to scare anybody. But we are here to get the truth out. And if somebody needs it, share the show with them. We would appreciate that very much. And if you're here because somebody sent you an episode, welcome. Welcome to the family. And if you need any more instructions on how to do that, here's what you do. You walk right up to them, you grab them by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy.
Leave the bird alone.
Never! Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right, just ask Noah. And remember to get hooked in with other Canarians. We've got our Canary Cry community on Facebook. It'll ask you a couple questions. Answer those questions correctly to gain access to the show and connect with people just like you. There's also CanaryCry.community, a real URL. That's our off Facebook meeting place for all things Canarians, and not just conspiracy theories and current events, but also fun and games, fellowship, prayer, all sorts of great stuff. Connect with people just like you. I want to give a small random shout out to Rona Destroyer. I don't know why. I've just been told to do it, and I'm doing it. Now, lastly, remember, we'll be back. Oh, Canary Prayer. If you have any prayer requests or want to join the prayer team, you can email canaryprayer@gmail.com, canaryprayer@gmail.com. Get hooked in that way. It's a great group of prayer warriors. So do that. Okay, be back here Friday the 9th. That's our next episode, Friday the 9th, sometime between noon and 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Do it! But thanks, everybody, for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, think outside the cage.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
I want to shake things up, shake things up. I want to shake things up, shake things up. Leave the bird alone. I want to stir up some controversy. I want to rattle a few cages. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. I see. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. A crusader for the little guy. Well, we'll see about that.
Whatever, Illuminati.
Humans will be confined in a people's zoo.
People, I'll keep you safe and warm in my people's zoo. I'll keep you safe and warm now in my people's zoo. You, yeah, you in my people's zoo. I'll keep the cameras on.
Aliens.
fat and sassy in my people's zoo. I'll make you fat and sassy in my people's zoo. You, yeah, you, yeah, you, in my people's zoo.
I'll keep you warm and safe in my people's zoo.
Canary, you know what you